call Halai Yahawah, bahasham, Yahwashi, bahasham, Kadosh, giving double honor to the man of great millstone that's out there on the highway and byway, pushing this truth and also teaching this truth over the internet, spreading through all four corners of the earth. I want to say the water for you brothers, for giving brothers like myself the information of salvation, learning who you are, knowing that Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi have always been for you through good and bad. The water for GMS. And also, just to add on to that, I'm not a member of GMS. I agree with GMS 144% that they are preaching the truth. And also to the men and women that are listening and learning, continue to listen and learning and get as much as you can from this truth before they cut off YouTube, the internet. You know, some of us are going to die by the sword. Some of us are going to be put in concentration camp. You know, they going to come get us, no matter what. If you claiming to be a Hebrew Israelite, and you know that you are a Hebrew Israelite, you know your nationality, you know that Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi is a so-called black man, they coming after you. They don't want you to know anything about yourself. They want you to be dumbfounded. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into this little lesson, and this lesson is pertaining to people being forced to take this chip that's in Revelation 13 and 16. And when you take that chip, it's pretty much a wrap. And I'm looking at all these people out here at the park. Let me zoom around a little bit. I don't know if you can see that much, but everybody at the park having fun with no care in the world. And you know, most of these people out here are Issachar, and I see a few Hamites, and not that many Edomites out here. But for my people, the Issachar that is out here, you know, this book is for you. And the good Lord told us not to take this chip, because when you take this chip, you'll be burned by fire. And the main thing that I want to, you know, talk about, I kind of wish I had a family like the family in 2 Maccabees chapter 7, where it talk about the mother and her 7 sons was being tormented for not eating swine flesh, for not eating pork. So I'm just giving you an example of there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be forced to take this chip, because it said that without this chip you're not going to be able to buy, sell, eat, pay your rent, put gas in your car. I mean, you'll basically be wiped away off the face of this earth if you don't have that chip. And these single parent women, or you know, these families, it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to put it together. I wish I had a family like this woman and her 7 sons, because during the time when they start implementing the chip, it's going to be a lot of people that's going to fold. You're going to have crying babies that's hungry, that need to be fed, need to be clothed, You're going to have your woman that need to be fed. She going to want to do things that, she going to want to live comfortable. She ain't going to want to just live under no bridge when she living in a 2-story house and everything comfortable. And some of you guys, you're not going to want to live outside amongst the, in the elements. That's where your faith have to kick in. You have to let this life go and focus on the next life, which is the next kingdom. You got to focus on that. Fuck with what you see here. These people out here in the park having fun and playing around and with no care in the world. They don't understand that this is the end of time. And a lot of people out here don't even know that this is in the Bible. The chip that this kingdom is going to fold. This kingdom is going down. So I'm going to read a little bit about this beautiful woman, Hebrew woman, with her strong, courageous sons. They died with integrity. They didn't die screaming and hollering and saying, stop, I'll do what you want me to do. No, they went out like men. And this is the type of family I would love to have. But it looks like not too many families are going to be like this here. But this particular family here gave me inspiration right here. This woman here and her 7 sons. If anybody read this here, this is inspiration to let you know that we have a king here in the United States, the president, that want everybody to take that chip in the near future. They're already trying to force you to take that shot. And eventually it's going to be mandatory that you can't work anymore without it. Hell, they probably say you can't even come into the grocery store if you don't have it, to try to force you to take it. But anyway, let me go ahead and read 2 Maccabees chapter 7. It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mothers were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whipped. But one of them that spake first said thus, What wouldst thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the law of our fathers. These 7 boys, they knew not to eat pork, and they wasn't going to break the law. They'd rather go ahead and face death, or they'd rather be beaten by scourges and whips. Verse 3. Then the king, being in a rage, command pans and cauldrons to be made hot. Verse 4. Which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the outermost part of his body, and the rest of his brethren, and his brother and his mother looking on. So the first brother that said, I'm not going to break the law of Yahawah, because we know not to eat pork. And that made the king mad. So he got the first brother, cut his tongue out, cut the outermost part of his body, while his other 6 brothers and mother watched. Verse 5. Now when he was thus maimed in all his member, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan. And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exalted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus. Verse 6. The Lord God, Yahawah, looked it upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in his song, with witness to their face, declared, saying, and he shall be comfort in his servant. Verse 7. So when the first was dead, after this matter, they brought the second to make him to make a marking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered, verse 8, but he answered in his own language and said, no. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. So the second brother, he went through the same thing as the first brother. The way he was mangled and cut up and put in the frying pan, the second brother went through the same thing. Verse 8, verse 9. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, Thou like a fury take us out of this present life. But the King of the world shall rise up, who have died for his law unto everlasting life. Verse 10. After him was the third made a marking stock, and when he was required, he put out his tongue, and that right soon, holding forth his hand manually. So basically, the third one, when they asked him, because they said here, and when he was required, meaning when he was required or asked, are you going to eat swine flesh? He put out his tongue, and put it out, with no problem. He put it out he put it out with no issue. He didn't give a damn. So, verse 11, and said courageously, these I had from heaven, and for his law I despised them, and from him I hope to receive them again. So basically he was saying, well, you gonna cut my tongue off, you gonna cut my arms off, you gonna cut my limbs off? Hey, I don't give a damn about it. The good Lord gave it to me. I'll get them back again. So verse 12, and so much that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regard the pain. Verse 13, now when this man was dead also, they torment and mangle the fourth in like matter. So when he was already to die, said thus, it is good. This is the fifth one here, no, the fourth one. Let me start back at 13 again. Now when this man was dead also, they torment and mangle the fourth like in matter. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good, being put to death by men, to look for hope from Yahawah to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Afterward, they brought the fifth also and mangled him. Verse 16, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou dost what thou wilt. Ye think not that our nation is forsaken of Yahawah, but abide a while, and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. Verse 18, after him also they brought the six, who, being ready to die, said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our power. Therefore marvelous things are done upon us, unto us. Verse 19, but think not thou that taken in hand to strife against Yahawah, that thou shalt escape unpunished. So basically, he would tell him, don't think that you're going to get away with murdering us and mangle us and torturing us, that you're going to get away with this. You're not. Verse 20, but the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her seventh son slain within the space of one day, she buried it with a good courage, because of the hope that she had in the Lord. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down to 30. 2 Maccabees chapter 7 verse 30. While she was yet speaking these words to the young man, saying, whom wait ye for? I would not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto her father by Moses. Now, in between this skip from verse 20 to 30, in between this skip, the king had got the last her last son, and he was trying to save the boy by trying to get at the mother, by telling the mother, go counsel this boy and let him know that if he eats swine, I'm going to give him all the riches. I'm going to give him anything that he wants. So he told the mother to go counsel him, go get him, go correct him, so that I won't kill him, that he need to follow my orders and eat this swine. And the mother, like I said, in verse 20, but the mother was marvelous above all, the worthy of honorable memory, for when she saw her seventh son slain within the space of one day, she buried it all with good courage. So she laughed at the king, and she, spoke in her own words about, basically saying, you fool, you think I'm going to let you kill my other 6 sons, and then you just gonna save one and have him to eat swine? And I know, and he know not to break the law of Moses, to go against Yahawah, bahasham, Yahwashi? No, she laughed at him. So this here made the king very upset. So I'm going to start over at verse 30. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our father by Moses. Verse 31. And thou that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrew shall not escape the hand of Yahawah. Verse 32. For we suffer because of our sin. 33. And through the living God and through the living Lord, be angry with us a little while for our chastising and correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servant. But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puff up with uncertain hope, lifting up thy hand against the servant of God. But these here were some powerful young men. It says here, I'm going to keep on reading. For thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of Almighty Yahawah, who see all things. For our brethren who now have suffered a short pain are dead under God's covenant of everlasting life. But thou, through the judgment of Yahawah, shall receive just punishment for thy pride. But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the law of our Father, beseeching Yahawah that he will speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thou be tormented and plague may confess that he alone is Yahawah, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nation, may cease. Let me read it back over again. Verse 38, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nation, because we sinned, we broke God's laws and commandments, and that's why he brought the wrath on us. And it says here, upon all our nation may cease, may stop. 39, when the king being in a rage, then the king being in a rage handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was marked. So this man died under fire, and put his whole trust in the Lord. Last of all after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast and the extreme torture. Listen, this is the type of family I wish that I had. And I'm sure a lot of brothers that are listening to this wish they had a family that stuck with the law to death. No matter what all they're going to lose. I mean, losing your life is losing everything. I'm talking about, your lively possession that you worked hard for. It's nothing. It's vain. But losing your life, for a lot of people, it's hard for people to lose their life over something they would consider small, if eating pork. But if you are strong-headed in the law and you want to be on Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi's side, you want to stick with these laws and have faith in his son, no matter what. I don't care how small of a pork sandwich it is. I don't care if it's a toenail piece of a meat of pork. You don't touch it. You don't put it in your mouth. You don't eat it, no matter what. He said, do not eat it. So these people, the mother and the seventh son, was courageous people. You can't find no family like that in the earth right now that is like that. And when it come time for them to give out their chip, we're going to see how many brothers and sisters that's in the truth, or how many brothers and sisters that don't know the truth, that claim that they're not going to take their chip, that are going to take their chip. You got to be focused on the good Lord will, if I'm going to die or am I going to be beamed up in no chariot. No matter what, I want to be in the kingdom. As they say, as a maintenance man or a doorman or whatever, I want to be in the kingdom. So in order to be in the kingdom is doing God's laws and commandments, asking Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawah for repentance, change. Because we all have issues. And the good Lord know your issues. Pray, pray, pray. Well, I'm going to end it on that right there, but keep that in mind. You got to stay strong. Your baby's crying, your woman leave you, or she's fighting against you, or your husband fighting against you, and he forcing you to take the chip. Don't do it. Well, by saying that, Yahawah, bahasham, Yahwashi, I'll see y'all in the next lesson. Shalom.